unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego Unpacked. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. After all that yapping, Gennady Golovkin, no guys, tick 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 his punches, nothing max. Wants no smoke with Canelo Alvarez. I was born ready. And we gonna prove it right here. We unpack. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chat, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, speaking of the Patreon family, head over there to Patreon, revamped it, started from scratch. We working. Shout out to everyone who's already signed up. You know, we did a major overhaul. It was needed, and now we're putting content over there, and you know, we're gonna keep building from that. Also, my YouTube channel members, hit the join button. It gives you some information on that. These things help the channel, help, you know, so I'm a one-man band, Desperado, El Mariachi. So, you know, keeps things running smoothly, if you will. So that's one way to support the channel. Another is click the description box. You'll see an ESPN link. Click on that link if you're interested in getting the ESPN Plus bundle. That is the latest directive that we're pushing from Disney. That's ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. All three apps, $12.99 a month. And that, my friends, does go on to help the channel when you guys use that link. Tons of content for you guys. Disney's always adding their catalog. They got original. I haven't watched it, but The Mandalorian is supposed to be good if you're a Star Wars fan. ESPN, they're putting classic fights on. They just did a Jordan documentary, ESPN company, so it might make its way to ESPN Plus at some time. And of course, the live events when they get back. And I heard the UFC is trying to work some things out, possibly put some fights in Florida. So, you know, without a crowd, we might get some non-crowd events during this pandemic. But click that link to support. Let's talk about it. So the DAZN curse continues. Mr. I told you so strikes again. Ego Stradamus. I told you. New media. We control the narrative. DAZN.com. Look at this article. Gennady Golovkin's trainer shoots down immediate trilogy fight with Canelo Alvarez, which is exactly what I reported about days ago. Now, this is just sad, people. I told you, we control the narrative. Make this stuff hot. Ego's Army, appreciate you guys for tuning into the videos, watching, hitting the like button, engaging, leaving your comments. You know, it helps build. So Jonathan Banks did an interview, and he basically said they're not checking for Canelo next after this pandemic ends, or if they do basically closed off events with no crowd. He's not trying to fight. His fighter, Golovkin, is not trying to square up with Canelo straight away. Says Jonathan Banks outlines the roadmap to a potential Canelo trilogy bout. Reports have surfaced that a trilogy fight between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin could take place later in 2020, but nothing is for sure due to the pandemic shutting down the entire sports world. When boxing returns, some fighters are going to want to jump right back in the fire and take the biggest fights possible due to the shortened schedule. But Golovkin's trainer, Jonathan Banks, who he switched to from Abel Sanchez, isn't keen on the idea of an Alvarez bout right away and has already dismissed such a fight happening anytime soon. This is the article where he's saying it, or the interview, and he says, quote, "No, they called me about the Canelo fight. I said no. The plan was for Golovkin to get in with Poland's Kamil Szermeta, Golovkin's mandatory challenger, and then get another fight and then fight Canelo Alvarez. Before the shutdown, reports, the plan reportedly had been for Golovkin to defend his IBF against Szermeta, which he shouldn't be a champion, as I mentioned, because Deryachenko really beat him. Shout out to Sergey, shout out to the Ukraine. At the beginning of the summer, and Alvarez to fight Billy Joe Saunders May 2nd. A Canelo Triple G3 showdown would be the type of fight to help jumpstart the sports for the remainder of the year in a big way. Banks says Golovkin has attempted to make the third fight in the past, but got rebuffed by Alvarez. Quote, "When we went to Canelo and said we're ready, he said, no, I don't want to fight," Banks said. He disappeared and he went and did whatever he wanted to do and refused to fight. Now he's saying he's ready after this pandemic. Let's do it. Alvarez and Golovkin first met in September 2017, battled to a controversial split draw. Then the following September, Alvarez won a closely contested rematch by majority decision. After the sequel, Golovkin, Alvarez has only competed once at middleweight in the form of unanimous decision victory over Danny Jacobs. Before then, Alvarez moved up to 168 in December 2018, stopping Rocky Fielding by KO, blah, blah, blah. Then in November, he beat Kovalev, yada, yada, yada. Since the rematch with Alvarez, Triple G has scored a fourth-round knockout of Steve Rolls. Good old Steve Rolls. In June, and defeated Sergey Deryevchenko. As I mentioned, he really shouldn't have won that fight. I have no clue how all three judges miraculously found it for Golovkin, just like the Jacobs fight. Nobody seems to think Golovkin is losing these fights where he's not fighting Canelo. In October, by unanimous decision in one of the most exciting fights in 2019 to regain the IBF title. Although he wants to face Alvarez in the worst way after feeling like he won both contests, Banks says Golovkin is sticking with his plan that ends with a bout against his fiercest rival. Triple G's like, no, I already have something planned. So if you want to do this, let me get this fight out of the way. And then if everything is still a go, then let's go. Man, this is such a bad look for Gennady Golovkin, Team Golovkin. I appreciate Jonathan Banks' honesty, but man, this don't look good to me, bro. Because Golovkin did all that talking about he really won the first two fights. Previously, before him and Canelo stepped foot in the ring, he was basically saying Canelo was a chicken and didn't want no smoke. And things have changed, tables turned, time's catching up to Golovkin, father time, whatever you want to blame. But fast forward to the future, now his team saying he isn't ready. This has got to be, and still, this has got to be the DAZN curse. If this ain't the DAZN curse, I have no idea what it is. Listen, aside from all the fighters who have failed drug tests, and I'm not going to name all of them because it would take me too long, and my time is money, but all the people who failed drug tests and or got injured and or got pulled from the fight, all of these things that have manifested now, the pandemic, which again, this is not DAZN's fault for the pandemic. I'm aware of that. I get that. But the point being is you always have something going on your watch. When DAZN has a fight that needs to be made, it's always something. Whatever it is something. It's, the venue gets shut down or a person failed a drug test. Joshua needs a replacement because Miller failed it. It's just always something. Now, fast forward to this situation. Look at this article on DAZN's own website. First of all, DAZN is already in the hot seat because they have all these fighters with big names and they're not living up to their promises. They promised the biggest fights, the baddest fights, and the fights that were going to kill off pay-per-view. This is not the truth. In fact, after this pandemic, I anticipate more pay-per-views because the revenue is down. It's been months since we've had a live fight, or it will be months by the time we get another fight. So people are going to be, it hits their bottom line. So we might even get more. I don't know what the price points will be, but we could get more because companies are going to try to recoup the money that they've lost in these down months. So that's one thing. So DAZN has, really done nothing to stop pay-per-view from anybody. WWE, UFC, boxing especially, their direct competition. But they came into all these promises and stuff. Now, the DAZN curse strikes again. Why I'm saying that here is because this fight is stale as hell. Like, these two should have already fought a third time if they were going to do it. Now Golovkin, the world knows his last fight, he didn't look good. He really shouldn't have been a champion, and I'm not even going to pull it up. I was going to do it, but I don't have to. You guys could do some of the legwork because I already know it's there. Go to YouTube, and there are fighters I'm not going to mention any fighters, but there were fighters in attendance for that fight, and they were all saying, man, you know, Golovkin's my guy, but Deryevchenko should have won. You see what I'm saying? I'm telling you the same thing. Now you have DAZN writing an article saying that Golovkin's side, they're shooting down an immediate trilogy fight. This is absolutely the DAZN curse, people, because all of last year, Canelo said he wanted to be undisputed. That quickly turned into fighting at light heavyweight versus a shot Kovalev, who almost got stopped by Anthony Yard, and, you know, not wanting to fight Demetrius Andrade, who's aligned with DAZN, and he was, you know, he's still a middleweight champion. And what happened to Canelo's plans? Canelo lost several belts last year. Bad look, because he lost it by force, because he wasn't fighting Charlos, and he couldn't agree to fight Deryevchenko because he was fooling around too long trying to fight Kovalev, and then it fell apart, and then Kovalev went on to fight Anthony Yard, where he looked vulnerable in that fight. You know, he had negotiations with Ryota Murata, another fight nobody asked for, and for whatever reason, that fell apart. Then Canelo was going to set his sights on a May showdown against Billy Joe Saunders, who looked horrible in this last fight. His American debut, he looked bad against Marcelo Esteban Corceres. These are all facts, people, right? He was on the KSI Logan Paul rematch card on DAZN Matchroom. Devin Haney was on that card. That's where he got the shoulder injury. And Billy Joe Saunders was right before that, and he looked bad. You know, Billy Joe Saunders is even on record, right? Bro, this is the DAZN curse is thick. Right? I'm going to show you. Billy Joe Saunders is on record after his knockout victory. Look, Billy Joe Saunders thinks his poor showing against Corceres. Boom. So even though he stopped this man, he knows that it wasn't a good performance. Right? He says, Saunders to Canelo, take me while you think I'm spent. Right? Look, Saunders, my performance was not worthy of Canelo or Jacobs. So he's saying my performance dropped the ball. Bro, the proof is in the pudding, people. Look, this is Billy Joe Saunders saying his own performance. So everything I'm saying, that's the guy, Corceres, right? Everything I told you, ain't nobody unpack it in boxing like me. And I'm doing nothing but saying facts. Facts. Billy Joe Saunders admitted his own performance is not deserving of a Canelo fight. And you know what? Canelo was still trying to fight him. But then guess what? They never announced it. And I kept making videos. I'm like, I was doing live streams and doing video. I'm like, man, what's taking so long? When they're going to announce this fight? And then we get rumors, sources, and a bunch of stuff that said that they were on the heels of announcing it. And then a pandemic happens. This is the DAZN curse, people. But then to make that even more ucked up, to make that even worse, Billy Joe Saunders did some nonsensical things during the pandemic, like call Delta and fake the Rona and say two of his buddies that were about to catch a flight to New York had the Rona. So they got put on a no-fly list and kicked off the airplane. And then a week or two later, he gets in trouble, you know, in the hot seat, and gets his boxing license suspended in the UK by the BBBFC because he posted an idiotic video where he's taunting, you know, the victims of DV and saying, hey, fellas, if you're tired of your old lady giving you lip, this is what you do. And he started punching the bag. So basically giving people a tutorial. Look, this is all, everything I'm saying is true. Giving people a New York Post, you know, these are big companies. Billy Joe Saunders boxing license suspended after DV advice video. Here's the video. He gave a video showing people how to abuse your significant other. I mean, so now we don't even know, because even if Canelo fights him after the pandemic, which is what Golovkin wants now, we're finding out, it's going to be a bad look because Canelo, you know, he didn't do nothing, but Billy Joe Saunders did. So Billy Joe Saunders is not going to be received well, especially from women's rights groups and women's suffrage groups and things like that, because of this poor choice video that he claims was a joke after a week after he made another joke calling Delta Airlines. Listen, everything I'm saying, I'm unpacking, is absolutely true. You know, boom, we got action. Look how I pull it up so quick. This is Johnny on the spot. These videos are freestyle, right? Yeah, they're mad at the ad blocker. Look, Billy Joe Saunders has Josh Taylor and Ben Davison kicked off a flight after pranking the airline. March 25th, or March 21st, excuse me. 25th is my birthday. But a week after that, he did the DV video. So now, Golovkin, I said all that to say this. So that's Canelo's side. From losing belts and failed negotiations, and DAZN's paying him all this money, paying Golovkin all this money. They're not getting out of the red, and they're not getting their money back, return on investment with these level of fights. But that's just Canelo's side. At least he's popular, and he's coming off a knockout win from Kovalev, even though he didn't look great in that fight, in my personal opinion, and neither did Kovalev. But at least he got the knockout victory, whatever, even though it looked FAF. But beyond that, back to Golovkin, the world knows he really lost his last fight. So he shouldn't even be a champion, right? And look at what Canelo's team is saying. Eddie Reynoso, this time we are going to knock him out. But for Golovkin's part, he's been MIA. You don't really see him on social media much. He kind of just pops in. People wondering if he's lost his hunger, if he's lost his drive. He really should have lost his last fight. And I'm going to put it all together for you right now. We unpacked. So let me get this straight. Canelo Alvarez had all that stuff happen that I just documented, and then was finally like chose Billy Joe Saunders, and then the pandemic strikes. And then Billy Joe Saunders does two stupid pranks that get his public persona targeted for poor choices and misconduct. And he loses his license in Britain, right? But then Canelo last year, he told anyone who would listen, ESPN Deportes, right? He did all these interviews saying, my business with Golovkin is finished, right? I am not checking for a Golovkin. Want to fight Golovkin. This is just last year. Right? Look. Look how I pull it up. Look how quick I can pull all this stuff up. This is a pure freestyle video. I haven't done any like past work. Canelo, I don't want to fight Golovkin anymore. November 30th, so right about Thanksgiving last year. Right? This is Canelo. There will be no third Canelo versus Golovkin fight. So you tell me this is not the DAZN curse. I don't want to fight him again. For me, he doesn't represent a challenge anymore. Said Canelo to ESPN Deportes, which is just what I said. I have other goals too, and I already gave him 24 rounds, and that's it. I will not allow them to do that, at least for my fights, and I will talk to them, said Canelo, about DAZN delaying the start of his fights for UFC, obviously. So let me get this straight. I told you I'm gonna unpack it. Smash the like button for the unpack. So the end, as far as we could see, the end of last year, after the Deryevchenko performance, after the Kovalev performance, Canelo was still telling people in basically the last 2 months of last year, that he has no interest and I don't want to fight Gennady Golovkin anymore. So he was playing hardball or saying he don't represent a challenge. And Canelo said Golovkin also got beat by Deryevchenko. So if Canelo don't want to fight him anymore, all of a sudden he has a change of heart and he says, you know what, oh well. And I'm assuming it's because DAZN's paying him all this money, and for whatever reason, the big wigs at DAZN feel Canelo versus Triple G is the fight to be had and the fight to be made. So they're insisting on this, and then they finally convinced Canelo to take a voluntary fight with a Billy Joe Saunders or whatever, and then fight Triple G. And they were even, right before the pandemic, they were saying Triple G, Canelo 3 could happen at the AT&T Stadium, etc. And then boom, now Golovkin's side is shooting down a trilogy fight with Canelo Alvarez. Bro, you can't win for losing. They might as well just put a fork in it. Just stick a fork in it. It's done. It's over. Nobody is finna this. There are far more better fights in boxing than this to be going back and forth and begging for this fight. People wanted to see it. They wanted to see it. Golovkin looks like a shell of his former self, And now they're playing this cat and mouse game about, oh, I'll fight you. Oh, I don't want to fight you. Oh, I'll fight you now. And then the other guy don't want to fight. I mean, this is just absurd at this point. And for whatever reason, DAZN is still insisting on the fight. So let me get this straight. Canelo didn't look great in his last fight with Kovalev. Golovkin finally gets, or DAZN or whatever, but Golovkin finally gets his way. Like I said in the beginning, he been saying he lost the first two and it was robberies and stuff. You finally get your way. You switch trainers from Abel to Jonathan Banks, and you know, life should be peachy. You got this great money deal with DAZN, and you got Canelo right where you want him. And then now your team saying that you don't want to fight him because you're not ready, and you want to fight a guy that nobody's ever heard of, Kamil Sarsmeta, and that's your game plan. I mean, this is just terrible, people. This is terrible. I know some of you guys aren't familiar with Kamil Sarsmeta, and for obvious reasons, but here he is. This is who Golovkin now is. His team is saying they would rather fight. This guy who's 21-0, you know, fair play to him, but he got 5 knockouts, y'all. Out of 21 fights, he got 5 knockouts. And nobody in America knows it. Look at his KO percentage, 2-3 like Jordan. He got the Last Dance 2-3 knockout percentage, 21 bouts, 5 knockouts. He's 5'9.5", so smaller than Golovkin, and he's age 30, and you don't know any of these names on his, except for Kasim Uma, you know, on his whole resume. And Golovkin's saying, and his team are saying, hey, we don't want to fight Canelo right now. So you begged Canelo, and Canelo wasn't messing with you because he feels he already beat you clean. And then DAZN begs Canelo to fight him and finally get Canelo to agree. And now Triple G's trainer and his team, his new team, is shooting down an immediate trilogy saying, hey, wait, we need a warm up. You know, why you need a warm up, bro? Golovkin is 38 years old. This is at the point where a lot of pro fighters with illustrious careers are packing it in and hanging up. And meanwhile, Golovkin, he just now started fighting quality opposition, and he has never showed separation when he has fought these guys. Like, he didn't show true separation and destroy Canelo in both of the fights. Even if you thought, because I thought Triple G won the first fight, but he didn't destroy Canelo. That's my point. Like, he didn't show like mad separation where Canelo was no match for him, and you know, it wasn't contested, right? And same thing with Jacobs. I thought Jacobs beat him. I thought Canelo definitely beat him in the second fight, right? And I thought Derevyanchenko beat Golovkin. Since he got him later, he beat him more soundly than Canelo and Jacobs, because he got, you know, one that had to go through Canelo and Jacobs, and they probably softened him up a little bit. No, you know, not taking anything away from Derevyanchenko. And then this dude's talking about he wants more time. You're 38 years old, pushing 40. You don't have a Floyd Mayweather. Like, look at Floyd Mayweather's resume by the time he was 40. He had already fought Oscar. He had already fought Victor Ortiz. He had already fought Canelo Alvarez. He had already fought damn near everybody that's on his, you know, Gotti, Corrales. Look at Oscar De La Hoya. His last fight, he was probably 37, 38. He was fighting Pacquiao. Already fought B-Hop, Shane Mosley twice, Felix Tito Trinidad. Like, people are wrapping up their careers at that point in the game. You know what I mean? Look at other fighters who stayed in the game, you know, to their 40s. Look at what Roy Jones had done by the time he was 40. Undefeated from basically 88 to the early 2000s, because I don't really include the Montel Griffin DQ, because that was some BS, right? Look at Bernard Hopkins when he was 40. When Bernard Hopkins was 40, he was beating Kelly. He was 45, I think, beating Kelly Pavlik and Tavoris Clouds. He might have been 40 when he beat De La Hoya, but he was like mid 40s when he had beat Tavoris Cloud, Kelly Pavlik, Antonio Tarver, right? And Golovkin's acting as if time's on his side. Like, he's 38 with a lousy resume. Golovkin might be the most overrated fighter in modern history, bro. I'm not even being funny. This is not to roast the guy. I think he's solid skill-wise, but if you look at how he was praised when he had that little run and how HBO built him up, and, you know, people said Canelo was scared of him and stuff versus what he's actually accomplished, that's crazy. Because here's a fun fact. Here's an ego fun fact. When Juan Manuel Marquez one of my favorite fighters of all time, one of my favorite counter punchers of all time. He was knocking out Manny Pacquiao when he was 40. That's the knockout fight. He was 40 years old when Juan Manuel Marquez knocked out Pacquiao, which was the exclamation point to a legendary saga. Juan Manuel, look, all this off the top of my head. I'm Boxing's encyclopedia. 40 years old, Pacquiao knockout. Let's see what we can come up with. Let's see. Let me see. Well, we can do it like this. Okay. Because I don't know. It didn't come up. Let's do it. He was born in 1973, right? And he fought Pacquiao in early 2010s, like 2012 or something, in the fourth fight. No, that's not it. So he knocked out in the, okay, I was close, 2011. So 2011, that's when he, actually, nope, I was right. Look, that was the third fight. So when he knocked out Pacquiao, see, this is all off the top of my head, y'all. Y'all gotta give me some credit, give me some slack. When he knocked out, the knockout fight, December 8th, 2012. So in 2012, he was born in 1973. Let's just double check that. Right? Let's just double check my homie, Juan Manuel Marquez. Okay, 2012 and 1973. So, Raj, we'll do it like this. Low, okay, 2012 minus 1973. Okay, I was close. I was real close. He was 39, my bad. He was 39 years old, knocking out a Hall of Famer like Pacquiao, who beat him and always gave him trouble. Golovkin is 38, looking shot, and he doesn't have a Juan Manuel Marquez resume with 4 Pacquiao fights, Mayweather fight, Katsidas fights, you know, win over Orlando Salido, fought Tim Bradley. You know, he don't have no resume like that. And the best names on Golovkin's resume, you have to say, are he didn't show true separation. So the DAZN curse continues. You know, I have to keep unpacking it. Why DAZN, as a paid subscription based app, they got to convince me why I would want to see this Canelo fight. So like I said, all of last year, Canelo says, I don't want to fight Triple G. He's not a challenge. To add on to that, Canelo says Deryevchenko, I don't know how to spell this, but we'll try, beat Golovkin. Let's see what comes up. Canelo, boom, look at, oh my gosh. Canelo, look how I just keep hitting y'all over the head, bro. Canelo says, this is right after the, look at the picture they use. Boom, look at that, no, guys. Canelo says Deryevchenko beat Golovkin, says third fight can happen. So, you know, for the most part, he said he didn't want to fight Golovkin most of last year. Then Deryevchenko, right? Look, Canelo uninterested in the third Golovkin. I've talked about this. I talked about all these things. Uninterested in the third Golovkin fight. So this is last year. And then when he finally budges, Canelo smiles. To me, Deryevchenko clearly beat Golovkin. Look, it's all here. It's all here. Clearly beat Golovkin. So DAZN's going to have to, as a paid subscription app, explain to me why I would want to see Canelo Triple G 3 when I personally think Triple G lost his last fight to Deryevchenko. I know Canelo beat him, and then Golovkin doesn't look the same, and then he's trying to go this weak route of fighting an unknown guy and saying he can't be ready. We're all in a pandemic. Golovkin fought October of last year. Canelo fought November of last year. Why do you need a tune-up when you guys fought? Canelo actually fought, even though he's younger, you know, so that could be an advantage, but they both fought within a month of each other in terms of their last fight. So why do you need more time to fight Canelo after begging for this and requesting it and saying you won the first 2 fights? You know, DAZN, they got to get their stuff together, man. This is absurd. All last year, Canelo pretty much said he didn't want to fight Golovkin. Then they convinced him to fight Golovkin. Now Golovkin's team saying, oh, hey, we don't want to fight Canelo straight away. We need more time, guys. This is getting embarrassing. Like, it's just like the timing seems to always be off with these DAZN fights. You know, Canelo ain't feeling it. Then you get Canelo to finally agree and say, all right, he looked bad versus Derevyanchenko. Let me go ahead and knock him out. And then now Triple G side saying, playing this cat and mouse game, playing hardball, saying they don't want it. But why'd you go to DAZN? Why'd you follow? Man, I gotta stop, because this will I'll turn this into a Roots miniseries. I could talk for 12 hours on this, because you know it don't make no sense. Why did you follow Canelo to DAZN, and then you finally get him cornered? DAZN talks to him, or whoever, De La Hoya or whoever talked to him, and then now you saying you're not going to be ready. And you guys fought basically in the same time frame in your last fights, so you have the same amount of rest. The pandemic's hurting everyone. That's because he's probably, that's what I'm saying, Golovkin, I don't think his hunger's the same. He's probably not working out intensely, and you know Canelo is, so he has to get into the swing of things. And this is sometimes what happens when you get older. Canelo, he just turned 30, if 30. You know, he's late 20s, early 30s, and he's still in the gym training, still, you know, feeling it. And he has his own gym, so he's working out, maintaining his weight, eating good. And Golovkin, he has to get in the mindset, in the mode of doing a camp. And he left Abel Sanchez, hasn't looked the same. He left Big Bear, went to Snack, got kicked out of Snack. I mean, this is just crazy. Then I think he faked it, but they're saying he had to lay a calf injury. So it's like, you got to explain. Look. Look, my video comes up. Gennady Golovkin, look. Gennady Golovkin kicked out of the Snack program. Look, I'm the #1 hit. I'm the #1 hit on YouTube. Told you. You see? Told you. I'm the #1 hit. Right when you click on Google. So he got kicked out, right? He joined and then got kicked out right after. Victor Conte kicks Golovkin out of Snack. Look, Golovkin has a calf injury. I don't know if that's even true. You know, Golovkin has a calf injury, again, delaying his next fight. So his body's breaking up. You trying to take an easy route with Camille Sears-Meta. Bro, this spells disaster for Team Golovkin. They're just after a paycheck. I'm convinced. It's just too much. You're not ready. You can't be ready, even though you had the same amount of time of rest as Canelo. You said you wanted to fight it. They even said this in the article. Look, Jonathan Banks even said it. Golovkin was like, no, I already have something planned. But look, let me find the part. When we said to Canelo, when we went to Canelo and said we're ready, Canelo said, no, I don't want to fight. He disappeared and went and did what he wanted, whatever he wanted, and refused to fight. Now he's saying he's ready after this pandemic. But he's also the A side. You know, the A side kind of has that leverage to dictate the terms and do what they want to a degree, you know, and that's not really abusive. You want to fight Canelo. He's the champ. He's the bigger name. He's clearly the draw. He's done way better numbers independently of Golovkin than Golovkin has done in his bigger fights independently of him. Look at Canelo Alvarez and Cotto. Look at Canelo Alvarez Mayweather. Look at Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. These were all pay-per-views. You can even throw in Angulo and Erislandy Lara. All of those fights were pay-per-views, and they did significantly better than any Triple G fight that was on pay-per-view that he wasn't fighting Canelo. They tried Triple G's hand at pay-per-view, said he was this big star, and his fight with David Lemieux and Danny Jacobs performed poorly given who he was supposed to be. It did like 96 to 150,000 pay-per-view buys. So it was pretty abysmal, you know? All this stuff could be backed up. Gennady Golovkin, Lemieux, pay-per-view viewership. Let's see if that comes up. Look, this Google got to be your friend. ESPN. Just over, former ESPN writer, Golovkin Lemieux does, quote, just over 150,000 buys. Versus, let's look at Canelo's best performing, you know, his pay-per-views independent of Golovkin, Canelo Mayweather, which is kind of cheating, but it illustrates the point. Look, ESPN, we'll use the same link. Fight gets record rating. Look, this fight did like 2 point, look, right there. Oh, he did. That's De La Hoya. bro, this fight did 2 point something million though. So man, I'm done. It's not even worth. Look, there, Mayweather versus Canelo, over 2 million buys in the U.S. See, Mayweather Canelo does over 2 million pay-per-view buys in the U.S. and does record numbers in Mexico. So Golovkin can't touch Canelo, both in the ring and also based on, you know, accolades and trophies and numbers and viewership. So Golovkin, once again, at age 38, you're not no spring chicken in the world of boxing. Those fights, like the Jacobs fight, Derevyanchenko was a real rough fight, 2 Canelo fights. This is wear and tear on your body, right? And you're trying to delay it further. It's gonna, the longer Golovkin waits to fight Canelo, the worse I can see it being, because he doesn't have the style to have longevity like B-Hop, Mayweather, or he's not like a speedster with this freakish style like Pacquiao. There's really, Floyd told you a long time ago, no special effects, straight up and down. A guy like that, you don't have no defense, man, you're not gonna have the same shelf life. So I don't even understand at this point why Golovkin's side wouldn't want to just get this over with. You know, if you have any chance, I would say the sooner you do it would probably be your best chance of beating this guy. But now they're telling you, no, we want more time. And once again, Golovkin's side has remained kind of delusional in the Canelo affairs because they know they're not the A side over him, but yet they kind of act like they are. You know, they kind of act like they're the A side and they can make Canelo Wade or Golden Boy. It's just, it sounds really weird. And the funny thing is, more DAZN curse, is Gennady Golovkin signs multi-fight with DAZN. He signed for multiple, look, 8 figures. He signs a 6-fight deal with DAZN. You see this? See? So just put this in perspective. Golovkin signed a multi-fight deal, right? This DAZN, man, this is looking like a Ponzi scheme. Look, Box Rec. I told you I'm unpacking this. We gonna unpack. I did a video about this. I'm gonna keep doing a video about this. Yeah, I do what I want to do. Okay, so Golovkin has a listen, bro. He lost to Canelo. Then after HBO folded, so there was no more HBO boxing, HBO pay-per-view, and these are his DAZN fights: Steve Rolls and Sergey Derevyanchenko, right? So let me get this straight. You signed a 6-fight deal and you fought twice. One was against Steve Rolls, who nobody knew, and you forced him down from 168, where he had been fighting, to a catch weight of 163 and change or whatever, 164, right? And you steamroll him, even though Golovkin was getting tagged in this fight. And then you've given DAZN a Sergey Derevyanchenko fight, and you lost that fight, right? Truth be told, you lost that fight. Now you're avoiding an immediate fight with Canelo, and according to DAZN's own website, you actually preferred to keep the same plan of fighting this unknown that I showed you, Camille Sesmeta, who has 5 knockouts in 21 fights. So let me get this straight. I'm not the smartest brother in the world. 6 minus 2 fights, that's 4, right? You signed, look, I'm gonna put it all together. I need to put it all together. You signed a 6-fight deal with DAZN, and here's 1, 2, that's 4. So now you're saying you don't want to fight Canelo, you want to fight Camille Sesmeta. So your third fight will be a guy that nobody wants to see you fight. So in your 6-fight deal, your first 3, 2 of the 3 have been bloody awful that nobody requested because you're not ready for Canelo. So then let's say he fights, his 4th fight is Canelo. I think Canelo is going to definitely beat him. So he's still gonna owe DAZN 2 more fights, and he's gonna owe him that, coming off of a bad loss. That's what I can at least see to Canelo. You know, and Canelo's team just told you. They just said, bro, Golovkin getting stretched. That's what they said. So they're confident. And now Golovkin's, you know, saying, oh, I don't even want to fight right now, straight away. Man, this is not a good look. And you're paying it. Look, they said this time we're going to knock him out. So you're paying both of these guys all this money. And then, even Canelo. You look at Canelo's fights since being with DAZN. He fought Kovalev. The fight looked FAF to me. He fought Jacobs. Fair play to that. That's a good fight in the unification. Canelo won. And then he fought Rocky Fielding. So same thing with Canelo. Your first 3 fights, 2 of them have been boo-boo. And I ain't talking Demetrius Andrade. That's my time. We unpacked. Let me know how I did in this video. I told you we getting straight to the money bags. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Holla at that Patreon link. Become a channel member. Or use the ESPN link. We unpack, coming to you live. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.